10 things that'll make the next iMac just that much better, plus one massive one. Let's talk about it.
10 steps, make it fly, let it soar.
Welcome back to the channel. So just about a week and a half ago, Apple announced their whole lineup of brand new M4 Macs, including the iMacs, the Mac Minis, the new MacBooks, and on top of it, we got a whole bunch of new chips, the M4, the M4 Pro, the M4 Max. And the M4 Max is so fast, I think it's the leader of any chip right now. You can see the benchmarks here, although I think the Pro's plenty for everybody. I think the Pro's where it is. But that's besides the point. I'm actually going to be getting the Mac Mini pretty soon, coming up here in about a week or two. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see a bunch of tests on that, as well as I'm going to be testing Thunderbolt 5 and some different external monitors and stuff. So anyways, but that's not what this video is all about. It's about the iMac. But I actually think that the iMac sitting right here had maybe the least amount of fanfare of all the Macs that they launched. I think the Mac Mini is the star of the show, like I keep saying. But I think the iMac, it did have a lot of good updates on the M4 for sure, absolutely. And I think it's actually a good update for a lot of people. But this video is going to be a little bit different. What we want to do in this video is we're going to go through 10 different things right here that they can actually change on maybe the M5 iMac that would make it so much better. And let me know if you guys agree with my list here, including one of them. I think the last one is going to be the thing that I think is the most important. So sit back and relax and tell me if you agree with me. These are going to be 10 different things that they can improve on the iMac to make it one of the best systems that Apple ships. And then you tell me if you agree. Let's get into it. All right, let's get the obvious one out of the way. A lot of people want to see this in a 27, 30, 32-inch, obviously, iMac, right? Everyone's waiting for this. Now, I don't think Apple's going to do it because I think it's the Mac Mini in the studio display. And I think that's, you know, in a lot of senses, it's a better option because if one of the things breaks, one or the other, you're not losing the entire system. But I think the old school people like me that have had these, and I love my 27 sitting over there. It's a 2017. It's my favorite computer of all time. We all want to see the 27. My fear is if they do come out with a bigger one, it's not going to be a 27. It's going to be a 32 with the Pro chip in it, and it'll probably be like $4,000, and I'm not going to buy that. So I want them to do something around $2,000 with a bigger screen, and that would be golden if they can do it. I just don't think it's coming, but that's number one. All right, number two is the refresh rate. I think a lot of people want to see at least 90 to 120 hertz on an iMac screen. Right now we got 60, just like the studio display. Now, a lot of people, they complain about that to me all the time. Now, my eyes are not, they don't pick it up that much. I don't really care that much. I love my 5K iMac over there. It doesn't bother me at all, but I know some people swear by that. So I know people want to see that 90 or 120 hertz. A lot of people 120. I've actually got a couple articles coming out next week that explain that Apple might be working on a 90 hertz screen, which is kind of weird, right? Like a standalone screen. We don't know if that's true or not, but overall, I think refresh is a big one as well. Number three, let's go back to the screen here. A lot of people want to see OLED. Now, the problem with this is going to be cost. Obviously, in a $12.99 without raising the cost, right now I think it's just too expensive on a big slab of glass like this. But Apple's going to be going OLED, I think, on their MacBooks, I think end of 2025, probably 2026 more or less. I think that's the real date. So this might come a year after that. So it's going to be a couple years, but I think ultimately this will get OLED as the technology gets cheaper. You tell me. That would be great on a screen this big, but the cost would be the hard part. We want to keep the base at $12.99. All right, number four is an important one because a lot of people talk to me about this. We want to see a Pro chip, M4 Pro or M5 Pro in the next iMac. I guess it would be an M5 at that point. We want to see that Pro chip. We don't need a Max in it. Max is going to be for 5% of the population that do really high intense stuff. This is not really what this is for, but a Pro chip would give you the option of doing video editing on this and stuff like that. So I think a Pro chip is definitely something that people want. Plus the M4 Pro chip just got so good this year. It's got way more performance cores versus efficiency cores over the last one that it's just a winner all around. So putting a Pro in this, you know, obviously on a smaller screen like this, but if you could get the big screen at the same time, that would be even better. But at the same time, a Pro in this would at least be something, and they keep the price under $2K would be golden to me. Number 5 is not a huge one, but it's coming around, I think, anyway. So this has got Thunderbolt 4, not this one, but the M4 version of it that just came out. And we want to see Thunderbolt 5. So I think the next iteration should have Thunderbolt 5. It's going to give you up to the 120 gigabit per second, but that's not all for just the bandwidth. I think it's like 80 of that is for external SSDs. I think the other 40 is for helping with external screens and stuff like that. But still, it's a lot faster than 40, right? So I think in the next iteration, everyone wants to see that. I don't know why they didn't do it this year because this is more of a, they're kind of claiming it's more of a home system, but we want to see that on the next one. All right, the next one's a big one to me. Now, I think after the next, hopefully the M5, Apple finally says, let's get a different mouse, all right? You can notice I'm not even using the Magic Mouse. I don't, and it's not what you think. I don't care about the plug port being on the bottom of it. I could care less about that. I charge it once every, month and a half, 2 months. It doesn't even bother me because I can walk away and charge it when I'm not using it. It's just the ergonomics of the mouse. It's just an overall terrible mouse. Now, some people love it, I guess, but I would say 80% of people hate that mouse. I know that it may not update it because I know like the head over at Apple was praising it to Marquise Brownlee in an interview and stuff. But still, I think it's one of the worst mice to ship, so I never use it. I just basically throw it in the closet. So I hope they update the mouse in 2025, and I think everyone else is with me. Just remember to stay tuned for number 10 because it's the most important, but let's keep moving. All right, number 7 is going to be ports. Now, hear me out here. Now, they did add a couple more ports to the new M4s. There's up to 4 of them on the back if you get the more expensive version. But I actually have this hub down here. You can probably see it. I'll show you some close-ups of it. And I've been using this hub since I got the M1, and it's incredible. It sits in the base of the iMac, and it gives you ports. Now, I don't think we need too many more ports on an iMac, but it puts them on the right side over here. The front of it's really clean, so Apple can still do this. It looks good. I mean, it looks clean from the front. You can't see the ports, but having the ports on the side over here or additional ports is phenomenal because you can plug things in way easier than going around the back of it. You always have to maneuver it. You're scratching up your iMac and stuff. Here, it's just perfect. So this is the hub. I'll put a link, but it's not going to be really, this is made for, it's going to be a slower connection. But this hub is awesome because of the fact that you can put an external SSD in it as well. Apple will never do that. So I'm not saying they should do that because they never will. But this one, if you buy it, actually has an external SSD in it on the bottom of it. So you can add more storage, although it's only 10 gigabit per second. So you're going to get like, 1,000 megabytes per second in there, which is not bad for extra storage for your Mac anyway, even if you get a new version. But take a look at this. This is what they should do ultimately. Make the base a little thicker so it doesn't wobble as much or can't fall off as much. Put the ports on the side. Everyone would love it. And actually, believe it or not, they did it on the Mac Mini. They put ports there when nobody said they would either, so why not here? Now, number 8 is arguably the most important thing, although I say 10 is, so stay tuned for that one. But number 8 is the base 256 gigabytes. We're all kind of frowning at that. It's ridiculous, right? Just totally ridiculous. If that happens on the next version, I think we need to boycott Apple with that stuff. It needs to be 512, but realistically, 1 terabyte minimum. It does not cost them that much money. So you guys post in the comments what would be your optimal minimum that's realistic. 1 terabyte's mine, but I think 512, we would even take that if we could. Apple will never go up to 1 terabyte. I'm pretty sure they'll go, just do the next iteration. There's just too much money involved, or at least make it only $100 to upgrade on that kind of stuff, and on the SSD instead of 200. At least that's something, right? Give us something on this on the next iteration. Otherwise, we need to boycott that. All right, 9 is probably arguably the least important, and then 10 is the most important. But number 9 is colors. I think the colors, they're a little bit better this time, right? I think the new colors that came out, they pop a little bit more. I love that green. Again, I keep saying that in all my videos. I love that one. But at the end of the day, I think they need to be a little bit more poppy. They need to be a little bit more darker. And I think the front, they need to give us some options. Instead of these pastel colors in the front of the iMacs, I think that they need to put a darker color there, at least on a couple of them. Give us some options there. Maybe make some of them pastel, make some of them darker. Apple likes to be so consistent, but we like, variety, right? I mean, if they made a black one or something, that would be cool as well. I don't care so much about the chin. I'm not even going to bring that up because I like kind of the way it looks. If you just made it a screen, it's just going to look like a monitor. I mean, that doesn't look that exciting to me. At least it's kind of a Mac. Not that it really matters, but it gives you some little bit of character, right? But just give us some options on the color on the front of it for once and stop doing these like Easter colors. But it's a little bit like a first world problem, obviously, but still just something I wanted to throw in at number 9. All right, number 10 is going to be the most important thing they could do to sell the most iMacs that they could ever sell, right? And you tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. All they got to do is make this so it's compatible as an external display. Now, check out my video. I did a video on this. I actually was able to make this an external display. And check out the video right here. I did it using Thunderbolt cable and AirPlay, and people love it. It's working for a lot of people. But you need you need like an M1 or higher of this, and you need a whole bunch of stuff. So watch that video. It's really a cool video, but the only problem is it doesn't go up to the exact full resolution. I think it goes higher than 1080p, but less than 4.5K. But still, I got it to work. But if they just made it native so that you could plug in anything into this thing over here, into your iMac, let's say you had, for instance, a Mac Mini, let's say you had your MacBook, and you bought one of these, you could basically come home, plug it in, use it as a monitor for your other systems, or use it as a computer. I mean, if it was just that interchangeable, it's one little, they could do that instantly. They could just put one little piece of electronics in there that makes you kind of switch between the computer and the screen, and this thing would sell like hotcakes, right? People would buy this because then they would have an external monitor that's good at 4.5K for their MacBook, but they'd also in a bind be able to use this if they have kids and stuff, if they both want to use different computers. It would solve everything. The number one thing they could do is be that, and I'm sticking to it. I think that's the number one thing. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Tell me what you think about my list. Is the last one the most important? Tell me what I missed or what you would add and what you don't agree with and stuff like that. But I think this is a pretty good list. If they would do all this, which they, Apple, they will never do it. I think, everyone will be buying these things, but obviously they won't do it. But what are maybe you guys can list in there, what are the, top 3 things that you would want to see which make you buy one? And that would be important. Then I'm going to send it over to Apple's, head of marketing, and they won't even open up the email. It'll go into their spam folder. But still, I'll try. I promise you I'll try if you guys give me some good feedback. We'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.